Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Here is voiceover Kathleen because this video is not going as planned at all. I left you in the last video with just the glitter, the green glitter to make the geode effect. And even then I had a feeling something would go wrong just because of the order that I put the glitters on, if that makes sense, because I started with a flat layer, if that makes sense, of glitter, a very fine glitter, and then I worked my way to the center with thicker glitter. It kind of made a bump, if that makes sense, and I feel like I should have done the other way. I really think that I should have started with the thicker glitter and a coat of green paint where I want the geode to be, so there's no white showing underneath, even though here it's not too bad, but yeah, you can still see it, and then work my way out with thin glitter to avoid this bumpy effect. And even though you can sand everything so you make it flat, there was so much glitter piling up on top of each other, if that makes sense, and zones where there was obviously zero glitter, that it just wasn't working. And even if I sanded, I would have ended up sanding the glitter and barely touch the cup itself. Well, I mean the epoxy on top of the cup. So that's the first problem that I was noticing, and I was like, okay, I think this might be a problem. It could not be a problem. I did a good job at not putting, I don't think you can see it in the video, but I did a good job at not putting epoxy or anything on the rim, so that wasn't so bad. That's one thing that went right. Also, as you can see now on the video on the screen, so that's technically what I'm showing to you right now. It's part 2, but I am uploading it as part 2 to show you the flaws and everything that I'm planning on fixing. But so as you can see, I forgot to seal the alcohol ink. So that's purely my fault, and it's purely I forgot it was a step. I thought the ink will just dry and then I can move on with the epoxy, right? Well, no, you can't actually do that. And as you can see, the ink is slowly drifting away, and it would not be a problem if I did not plan to have the rest of the cup show through. So usually how this works is when you're trying to make a geode cup, you glitter the whole cup and then you put paint on it, and then you take off some parts with a napkin, whatever, and some acetone, right? Here what I'm trying to do is still have the rest of the cup showing and have the geode show through like it would be inside of the cup, like the inside of the cup was geode, if that makes sense. And with the paint, I am trying to hide the edges of my geode. So that's the next step that's coming soon in the video. But so now you can see me put the epoxy on, and even though like the application of the epoxy is going fine, I don't have any particular problem with the epoxy itself, it is dragging the paint everywhere and it's slightly turning the cup a white greenish, if that makes sense. Even though I have made sure to clean really well the cup, it is a white surface at the end of the day, and green shows. So on the rim in the back where it says Starbucks, you cannot see it in the video, but in person it's slightly showing up green. And I thought we're gonna still work with this because I obviously I have realized what was going on as I was applying the epoxy, so there was nothing really I could do but just go with it. I was still gonna ruin some epoxy at the end, so might as well go with it and see how far I can go and what I will fix. At this point I thought maybe there's a chance that I will be able to work with this cup, but so after I let it dry everything, I really noticed how much of the green was showing through, and I thought I don't think I can save this cup. So in the next step that I still attempted, because it wasn't gonna ruin, like I wasn't gonna use too much products that's expensive, I was just gonna use paint. So the next step that I wanted to do is cover the geodes that I have made, like the little geodes I have made everywhere, with white paint, and then when the paint would be dry, I would just like remove the paint with some either 91% alcohol or with some acetone, depending on how I feel, instead of spray painting. Usually most people spray paint the cup because it's faster and it's more smooth. I wanted to use paint just so I would just have paint around, like a centimeter around the geode, and it would hopefully blend with the rest of the cup. So as you can tell, it's not blending really well. But one of the major reason why it's not blending really well, it's also because it's sitting on top of epoxy. If I went through with it and I put another coat of epoxy on top like I was going to do, it would have probably blended better. But at that point, I thought I'm going to need at least 2 more coats of epoxy. And the cup is already very thick. There's already a very thick layer. And that's my fault because I wanted to rush into this project because I really wanted to start it, and I put too much epoxy on the first layer. And like I said in the beginning, I had this bumpy effect on each geode. At this point, I'm just deciding that I'm going to restart. I let it dry, whatever. I even blended some very light gray with some white so it doesn't show as white, but there's still some green showing through, if that makes sense. And I didn't want to risk using another coat of epoxy to realize it looked hideous. So what I think I'm going to do, because now what I've done is I have put the cup with paper towel all around, and I've put some acetone and I put it in a Ziploc bag because I'm going to strip down this cup. And if the cup looks hideous at the end, like if I can't save the cup, it's fine because I need a cup that I can work on, like to test some things. You know, sometimes you have an idea, you want to try it out, and you don't know how it's going to work, and you just need to work on a surface. Like, you know, you need a guinea pig, if that makes sense. So at the end of the day, if that cup doesn't turn out blank, like doesn't go back to its original color form, if I feel like I can't save this cup, it's fine by me because I'm just going to use this cup as a guinea pig in the future. I won't sell it, I won't use it to drink. Like I said, just a guinea pig cup. But yeah, so now it's just wrapped up in acetone. I'm going to leave it overnight just to let it sit, and then probably not tomorrow because I'm working, but the next day that I'm off, I will restart from scratch, and here are the things that I think I'm going to do differently. So you're definitely going to get a part 3. We're definitely going to go through this with this project, but I just need to figure things out and do it again in a better way. So what I think, what the stage is, what I've learned from this, what I want to do differently is, first I'm going to get some gray, I'm going to get some green paint and some just random green acrylic paint that matches the Starbucks logo, or maybe something brighter, lighter, I'm not sure, just to kind of give a base. And so I'm going to draw the geode with a pencil on the cup and then paint it green on the inside, just to make sure that absolutely nothing will show through, like no white, no nothing, because the glitters I've been working with, especially the very big glitter, they're flimsy. Like sometimes you will just run your finger over it and it will just break. And it's fine if you already have a color underneath, but if you don't, it can really be a problem. So that's the first step I'm going to do. Then I'm still going to use the Mod Podge technique because I find it very fast and very forgiving. So I'm going to apply the Mod Podge, and I'm going to start with the very thick glitter. I don't know if you can see in this picture, and I don't know if I have recorded that step, but I have used some sort of green thick, not thick, but it's actually very thin, but it looks like an aluminum foil, but it's green. And I have added this on top. That was a mistake. I should have started with that instead of the thicker glitter that I would dye green. I'm going to start with that glitter, and I'm not going to put too much of it, like that type of foil. Then I'm going to go in with the thick glitter, the thicker one that I have, and then I'm going to go in with the slightly smaller one that I have, and I'm only going to put them in the center. I'm not going to put them on the edges because you still want to have that effect of the geode going deeper, if that makes sense. You still want to have that clutter in the middle and then very, very fine crystal look on the outside, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm probably going to repeat this step and then add some glitter on the side, some very, very thin glitter on the side, just like it looks on the cup right now, but I'm just gonna switch the order of events, if that makes sense, because you also want some very fine glitter inside of the geode, if that makes sense. You don't want to just have like a ton of chunky glitter in the center and then no fine glitter, because it's the very fine glitter that catches your eye and distracts you and makes you think, is this a geode or is this a handmade product? Is this a DIY? Because that's what you want to do. You want to fool your eyes, if that makes sense. So after that process is done, I'm gonna go with some clear sealant with a spray. I'm gonna go with the glossy one. Now I think I've seen people use a matte one, and they said when you put the epoxy, it goes back to shiny. I don't know if I want to do that. And like, yet again, it could be a mistake and I could just end up being like, oh my god, I should have listened. But what I'm going to tell you is that when I did the cup for my mom, which by the way still isn't finished, when I did the glossy purple on the cup, a lot of people were saying all over the internet that you were supposed to use a matte paint, spray paint, and I used the glossy one, and I think it actually did a favor because it's shiny on top of shiny, so it's just more shiny than just having matte and then add the shine to it, if that makes sense. You have a double shiny effect. So I think I'm going to seal it with some shiny spray, probably all over the cup, to be honest. I think it would not be a bad idea. And then after I've done that, I'm going to go with a coat of epoxy as thin as possible. I'm probably going to do 40 ml. And then that's when I'm going to do my geode. Hopefully the glitter will be all flat and one coat of epoxy will be enough to cover everything. If not, I'll just work with it. But then I'm going to... Oh no, wait, no. I'm not going to put the epoxy all over the cup after the sealant. I'm going to put it only on the geode. I'm going to try to work with a very, very thin layer so it's not spreading everywhere. But I'm going to put it only on the green geode and not anywhere else. The reason why I want to do that is because I still want to go with my white paint, but I want to be able to erase with acetone and have a peekaboo effect on the geode. So I'm going to put some white paint just like I've done here, just like the same system, but I need to have a layer of epoxy underneath. I'm just not going to have epoxy everywhere. And so what this will allow me is have less layers of epoxy before I can put my final layers, if that makes sense. Because here I was like, I had already too much epoxy, too much of a thick layer of epoxy. And in my mind, I needed 2 more layers of epoxy. So I'm just trying to have less layers. And so I'm going to have the minimum of epoxy on the geode and only the geode so I can have that peekaboo effect. And then when I have achieved that, I am going to go over everywhere with the epoxy. And what I'm hoping is that I won't have any color bleeding. I won't have any like glitters just going everywhere on the cup. It could look cool, but I don't think this is what I'm going for. If I just had one wild glitter just showing it, I think it would be fine, but I'm really trying to stay away from that. Also, I forgot to add that, of course, I'm going to add the glitter and then I'm going to add the alcohol ink. That makes sense. But yeah, I think this is what I've learned from my mistake, and this is what you guys are going to see in part 3 of this video. I'm sorry that today wasn't so helpful for you guys, and like obviously I'm a bit disappointed because I wanted to go through with this project. I've had it in my mind for so long at this point that the day I was finally able to start, I think I just went with it. I just wanted to see how the geode would look like, and I just went a bit too fast. So yeah, I have to go to Hobby Lobby, which I'm working tomorrow, so I'll be able to go and just get some paint. That will be the first step. And like now, just thinking about it, I think I'm just gonna start on a blank cup and just keep the one that I've used for trial and error whenever I want to start a new project that I'm not 100% sure on how I'm going to attempt it or what it's going to look like. I think I'm just going to keep that cup for that reason. Same for the lid. I have a few cups at home. So yeah, I still hope you guys have learned a few things from my mistakes and from this video, and I'm really looking forward to part 3 because I'm really excited about this cup for myself specifically. Also, I do want to add my name to the cup, but you can't even get to that stage until the geo, the peekaboo, everything is done, you know what I mean? So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and of course subscribe if you want to know whenever I'm posting. There's also the bell if you want to get a notification. And I think that's it. If you have any questions, anything you're wondering, like the name, brand of glitter, whatever, anything, feel free to post in the comments. I reply all the time. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!